Dae-ho Kim sat in the waiting room and tried not to shake. His uniform felt too tight around his neck. The walls were made of something that looked like glass but wasn't glass. Through them, he could see stars and ships moving in the darkness of space. He had never been this far from Earth before. A door opened without making any sound. A tall woman in a blue uniform stepped through. Her face was serious and tired. "Corporal Kim, they're ready for you now." Dae-ho stood up too quickly. His legs felt weak. He followed the woman down a long hallway that curved in ways that made his head hurt. They passed aliens of different shapes and sizes. Some had too many arms. Some had skin that glowed. One looked like it was made of living water. None of them looked at him. The woman stopped at a massive door. It was at least 20 feet tall. "Good luck, Corporal," she said. She didn't sound like she meant it. The door slid open. Dae-ho walked into a room so big he couldn't see the ceiling. There were seats arranged in a circle rising up like a stadium. In those seats sat creatures from 100 different worlds. They all turned to look at him. He felt like an insect under a microscope. "Approach," a voice said. It came from everywhere at once. Dae-ho walked to the center of the room. His boots made small clicking sounds that echoed. When he reached the middle, he stopped and waited. "You are Corporal Dae-ho Kim of Earth," the voice said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, Honored Counsel," Dae-ho said. His voice sounded small in the huge room. "You have studied alien languages for 5 years. You have learned 17 non-human languages. You understand cultural patterns better than most humans. Is this correct?" "Yes, Honored Counsel." "Good. Then you will do what no one else has been able to do. You will speak with the Velestran Queen." Dae-ho's stomach dropped. He had heard of the Velestrans. Everyone had. They were conquering everything in their path. Their ships were unstoppable. Their weapons turned planets into dust, and their queen never negotiated. She never compromised. She just took what she wanted. I don't understand," Dae-ho said. "Why me? I'm just a corporal. I'm not even a real diplomat." "That is precisely why," said a different voice. This one came from a creature that looked like a floating jellyfish made of purple light. "Every diplomat we have sent has failed. Every general has been defeated. Every attempt at communication has been ignored. Perhaps someone new, someone unexpected can succeed where we have failed. Or perhaps," said another voice, this one rough and angry, "the humans are expendable. If you fail, we lose nothing important." Dae-ho felt cold. They were sending him to die. That's what this was. A sacrifice to make it look like they had tried everything before starting a war. "What do you want me to do?" he asked quietly. "Talk to her. Make her listen. Find a way to stop this war before it begins." The first voice paused. "Or confirm that war is inevitable. Either way, we need to know." "I'll do my best," Dae-ho said. What else could he say? "You leave in 2 hours, dismissed." Dae-ho turned and walked back toward the door. His legs moved on their own. His mind was empty and full at the same time. He was going to meet the most dangerous being in the galaxy, and he had 2 hours to prepare. As he stepped into the hallway, someone grabbed his arm. He jumped and spun around. It was a woman in a black uniform he didn't recognize. She had short dark hair and sharp eyes. "Corporal Kim, walk with me." "Who are you?" "Commander Bora Shin, Earth Intelligence Division. Keep walking and don't look at me directly." Dae-ho did as she said. They walked together down the hallway. To anyone watching, they were just two humans going in the same direction. "What do you know about Velestran culture?" Bora asked quietly. "Not much. They don't share information about themselves. Everything we know comes from watching them or captured data." "Exactly. And that's going to get you killed." She pressed something into his hand. It was small and cold and felt like crystal. "This is from a Velustran ship we found drifting near the outer colonies. It's old. Very old. The data inside might help you, or it might be useless. I don't know. Why are you giving this to me?" "Because I lost my brother to a Velestran raid 6 months ago. Because I think this war is wrong. Because someone needs to actually try to make peace instead of just pretending." She stopped walking and looked at him directly for the first time. "Don't die stupidly, Corporal. And if you get a chance to actually end this, take it, even if the Council doesn't like it." Then she was gone. She disappeared into a side corridor and Dae-ho was alone again. He looked at the crystal in his hand. It was clear but had strange patterns inside it like frozen smoke. 2 hours later, Dae-ho was on a ship called the Quiet Horizon. It was small and dark and designed to hide from sensors. The crew was tiny. Just 4 people, including him. The pilot was a man named Hunwoo Park who smiled too much. The engineer was a woman named Nari Choi who barely spoke. The medic was Dr. Minseo Yoon who looked at Daiho like he was already dead. 3 weeks to Velistran space, Yunwoo said cheerfully as they left the station. Try not to go crazy from boredom. But Daiho didn't get bored. He spent every waking hour studying the crystal. He had to use special equipment to read it. The data inside was fragmented and old. Lots of it was corrupted, but some of it worked. He learned that Velistran names weren't just sounds. They were more like keys. Every Velistran had a true name that connected directly to their brain. If you knew someone's true name and said it correctly, you could bypass all their mental defenses. It was the deepest form of trust and the greatest vulnerability. He learned that the queen had no known true name. She had erased it somehow. She answered only to her title. No one in her empire dared speak her original name. No one even knew what it was. He learned that this made her powerful, but it also made her alone. Late one night, Daiho found something strange. It was a song, a children's lullaby from before the Velistran Empire existed. The words were in an old dialect he could barely translate, but one word appeared over and over. A name, Silendra. The word meant something like, she who sees the stars with gentle eyes. It was a beautiful name, a peaceful name, not the name of a conqueror. Daiho sat in his small cabin and whispered the name to himself. He practiced the pronunciation. He studied the harmonic patterns. He memorized every detail. He didn't know if it was real. He didn't know if it would work. But it was the only weapon he had. The quiet horizon flew through the darkness toward enemy territory, and Daiho prepared to speak a name that might change everything. The ship was quiet. Too quiet. Daiho could hear every small sound. The hum of the engines, the whisper of air through the vents, the clicking of Nari's tools as she worked on something in the engine room. Space was beautiful through the windows, but it felt empty and cold. Yunwoo found him in the observation room on the third day. Daiho was staring at the crystal again, watching the patterns shift and change in the light. You've been looking at that thing for 16 hours straight, Yunwoo said. He sat down without being invited. You need to sleep. I need to understand this, Daiho said. What's to understand? It's old Velistran data. Probably useless. It's not useless. Daiho put the crystal down and rubbed his eyes. They hurt, everything hurt. Did you know that Velistran names are alive? Not like our names. They're connected to brain waves, to quantum frequencies. When a Velistran hears their true name spoken correctly, their entire nervous system responds. They can't help it. It's built into their biology. Hyunwoo whistled softly. That sounds dangerous. It is. That's why they keep their true name secret. Only family and very close friends know them. Using someone's true name without permission is one of their worst crimes. So what's the Queen's true name? That's the problem. Nobody knows. She erased it from all records. She killed anyone who might have known it. For 300 years she's been just the Queen, nothing else. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. Then he said, 300 years is a long time to be alone. Daiho looked at him. Hyunwoo was still smiling, but his eyes were sad. Yeah, Daiho said quietly. It is. Dr. Minseo joined them on the 5th day. She brought food that none of them wanted to eat and medicine for Daiho's headaches. She sat with them while Daiho explained what he had learned. The Velistrans weren't always conquerors, he said. He projected images from the crystal onto the wall. They showed beautiful cities with tall towers, gardens that floated in the air, libraries full of books. This was their homeworld before the cataclysm. What cataclysm? Minseo asked. I don't know exactly. The records are damaged. But something went wrong. Something that destroyed their planet and killed billions. The survivors had to become soldiers just to stay alive. They built war machines. They learned to conquer instead of create. The images changed. Now they showed different Velistrans. These ones looked harder, meaner. Their cities were made of metal and weapons. Their ships were designed only for fighting. The Queen rose to power during this time, Daiho continued. She was chosen to lead because she could interface with their ancient war technology. But the technology changed her. It overwrote parts of her brain, made her into something she wasn't before. That's horrible, Minseo whispered. The worst part is that she might not be able to stop. The war programming might be too strong. It might be controlling her actions whether she wants it to or not. Nari finally spoke up. She had been listening from the doorway. "So we're going to talk to a machine wearing a person's face. That's comforting." "Maybe," Deho said. "Or maybe there's still a person in there. Someone who remembers who she used to be." On the 8th day, they crossed into Velustran territory. The ship's sensors went crazy. There were mines everywhere. Patrol ships, defense stations, warning signals that told them to turn back or be destroyed. "Well," Hyunwoo said, his hands dancing over the controls, "this is going to be fun." But they had codes, secret diplomatic codes that the council had given them. Hyunwoo broadcast them on all frequencies. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the warning signals stopped. "They're responding," Nari said from her station. "They're sending coordinates. They want us to follow a specific path." "Of course they do," Hyunwoo muttered. "Can't have us seeing anything interesting." They followed the coordinates deeper into Velustran space. They passed destroyed planets, dead worlds that had been stripped of all resources. They passed prison ships carrying captured aliens. They passed weapons factories the size of moons. Deho watched it all and felt sick. This was what the galaxy would become if the Queen wasn't stopped. An empire of ashes and chains. On the 14th day, Deho found something new in the crystal. He almost missed it. The file was buried deep, hidden behind corrupted data. But when he finally opened it, he heard music. It was a lullaby. Soft and gentle. The words were in Old Velustran, a dialect that didn't exist anymore. Deho had to use 3 different translation programs to understand it. The song was about stars, about gentle eyes that could see beauty in darkness, about hope and peace in quiet moments, and it repeated one name over and over, Silendra. Deho's hand shook as he recorded the pronunciation. He listened to it 100 times. He practiced saying it until his throat hurt. The name had a specific harmonic pattern. If he got it wrong, it wouldn't work. The Queen wouldn't hear it as her true name. She would just hear noise. He found Hyunwoo on the bridge. "Can you help me with something?" "Sure, what do you need?" "I need you to listen to this name and tell me if I'm saying it right." Deho played the recording. Then he tried to copy it. Hyunwoo listened carefully. "Again," he said. Deho tried again, and again, and again. For hours they practiced. Hyunwoo had good ears. He could hear tiny differences in pitch and tone. He helped Deho get closer and closer to the right sound. "That's it," Hyunwoo finally said. "That's perfect. What's the name for?" "It's the Queen's true name." "I think." Hyunwoo stared at him. "You think?" "I can't be sure. It's from before the Empire, before the war. It might be her name, or it might be someone else's, or it might be completely wrong. And if you're wrong, if you say the wrong name to the Queen of the Velustran Empire, then she'll probably kill me." Hyunwoo laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. "You humans are insane." "You know that?" "We prefer to think of it as brave." Same thing. On the 21st day they saw it. The Queen's flagship. It was called Dominion's Edge. It wasn't just a ship. It was a floating city. A fortress. A statement of absolute power. It was so big that it had its own gravity, its own atmosphere, its own weather systems. "Oh," Minseo said quietly. "We're all going to die." Smaller ships surrounded them immediately. Velustran fighters with weapons that could turn the quiet horizon into vapor in seconds. A voice came over the radio. It spoke in harsh clicking sounds that Deho's translator struggled to process. "They want us to shut down our engines," Nari said. "They're going to tow us in." "Do it," Deho said. "We came here to talk." "Let's talk." The quiet horizon went dark and still. The Velustran ships attached cables and pulled them toward the massive flagship. As they got closer, Deho could see details. Weapons that could destroy stars, shields that could stop anything, and thousands of windows, behind which thousands of Velustrans watched them approach. They docked in a bay that could have held 100 ships their size. Armed Velustrans surrounded them the moment the door opened. They were tall, nearly 8 feet. They had 4 arms and skin covered in hard plates. Their eyes were black and showed nothing. "You will come with us," one of them said in perfect human language. "Only the speaker. The others stay on the ship." Deho looked back at his crew. Hyunwoo gave him a thumbs up. Nari nodded once. Minseo looked like she wanted to cry but was holding it in. "Good luck," Hyunwoo said. "Thanks," Deho replied. "I'll need it." He followed the Velustran guards through endless corridors. They walked for what felt like hours. They passed barracks and training rooms and weapon storage. They passed other Velustrans who stopped and stared at him like he was a curious animal. Finally, they reached a door so big it made the council chamber look small. The guard stopped. "The queen will see you now," one said. "Do not speak unless she commands it. Do not move unless she permits it. Do not look directly at her unless she allows it. If you break these rules, you will die." "Understood," Deho said. The door opened. Deho walked through, and for the first time in his life he understood what real fear felt like. The throne room was impossibly huge. The ceiling disappeared into darkness high above. The walls were lined with Velestrin guards in black armor, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all standing perfectly still, all watching him with those empty black eyes. Deho walked forward. His footsteps echoed. Each sound felt like a hammer blow in the silence. He kept his eyes down, remembering the rules. Don't look at her. Don't speak. Don't move wrong. At the end of the long room there was a throne. It was made of something that looked like black glass but moved like liquid, and sitting on that throne was the queen. She was bigger than her guards, 9 feet tall at least. Her skin was covered in plates that shimmered between silver and blue. Strange markings covered her arms and face. They glowed with a soft light that pulsed like a heartbeat. She had 4 arms, all folded in a way that reminded Deho of a judge passing sentence, but it was her eyes that made him want to run. They were huge and black and deep. Looking into them was like looking into empty space, into nothing. Into the void between stars. "Stop," she said. Her voice was wrong. It had layers. When she spoke, Deho heard the words in his ears but also felt them in his chest, in his bones. The sound carried a frequency that made every part of him want to kneel and obey. He stopped walking. He was still 50 feet away from the throne. That felt both too close and too far. "You are human," the queen said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, your majesty." "Look at me." Deho raised his eyes. Meeting her gaze was like standing in a storm. He felt small, fragile, temporary. She studied him the way a scientist might study a bug. Curious but completely detached. "The council sends me a child," she said. "Is this meant as an insult?" "I'm not a child, your majesty. I'm a diplomatic specialist. I study languages and cultures. You study?" She laughed. The sound made the air vibrate. "I have lived for 300 years. I have conquered 1,000 worlds. I have spoken 10,000 languages. What could you possibly teach me?" "Nothing, your majesty." "I came to learn, to understand." "Lies. You came to negotiate, to ask me to stop my expansion, to plead for peace." She leaned forward. The movement was smooth and dangerous. "The council thinks I can be reasoned with. They are wrong." Deho's mind raced. Every word mattered here. One wrong phrase and he was dead. But saying nothing was also death. He had to try something. "The council sent me because I'm expendable," he said honestly. "They think I'll fail. They think you'll kill me and then they'll have justification for war. They're using me." The queen went still. Her glowing markings pulsed faster. "You admit this?" "Yes, because lying to you would be stupid." "You're too smart for that." Deho took a breath. "But just because they're using me doesn't mean I can't still try. Maybe we can both get something we want. What could you possibly offer me?" "Understanding, knowledge, a chance to be seen as something other than a monster." "I am a monster," the queen said. Her voice was cold. "I have killed billions. I have destroyed entire species. I am the darkness that your people fear in the night. Understanding will not change that. Maybe not. But it might explain it." For a long moment, the queen said nothing. She just stared at him. Deho felt like she was reading his mind, like she could see every thought and fear and hope inside him. It was the most uncomfortable feeling he had ever experienced. "Speak then," she finally said. "Tell me what you think you understand. Amuse me before I kill you." Deho chose his words carefully. "I know your people weren't always conquerors. I've seen images of your homeworld before the cataclysm. Beautiful cities, art and music, libraries and gardens. Your people created amazing things." The queen's markings flickered. "Ancient history, meaningless. Is it? Or do you remember it? Do you remember what your people were before they had to become what you are now?" "I remember nothing. I am only what exists now." "That's not true." Deho's heart was pounding, but he pushed forward. "You remember? That's why you erased your true name. Because names have power. Because if anyone spoke it, they might reach the person you used to be, the person buried under 300 years of war." The air in the room changed. It got colder, heavier. The guards along the walls shifted slightly. Their weapons hummed with power. Deho had crossed a line, he knew it. But he couldn't stop now. "You know nothing about me," the Queen said. Her voice had lost its layered quality. Now it was just angry, just dangerous. "I know your war technology changed you. I know it overwrote parts of your mind. I know you're not entirely in control of what you do." Deho spoke faster now. The words tumbled out. "I know you didn't choose this. You were chosen. Your people needed a weapon and they made you into one. But weapons don't have names. Only people do. Silence." The word hit Deho like a physical blow. He stumbled back. His ears rang. But he stayed standing. "You will not speak of things you cannot understand," the Queen said. She stood up from her throne. She was massive, terrifying. "You are nothing. Your species is nothing. You have existed for barely a moment and you dare to judge me?" "I'm not judging you," Deho said. His voice shook, but he kept going. "I'm trying to see you. There is nothing to see." "Then prove it. Let me try one thing, one test. If I'm wrong, you can kill me. If I'm right." Deho swallowed hard. "If I'm right, maybe we can talk." "Really talk?" The Queen stared at him for a long time. Her markings pulsed in patterns Deho couldn't read. He had no idea what she was thinking. Finally she spoke. "One chance. Say what you will say. If it is foolish, you die quickly. If it is offensive, you die slowly. Choose your words well, human." This was it. Everything came down to this moment. Deho thought of his crew waiting on the ship. He thought of his home on Earth. He thought of all the people who would die if this war started. He thought of the Queen's true face hidden under centuries of pain. He spoke the name he had found. The name from the lullaby. He spoke it with the exact pronunciation Hyunwoo had helped him perfect. He put everything he had into making the sound exactly right. Cylindra. The effect was immediate and shocking. The Queen froze. Completely still. Like someone had hit a pause button on reality. Her glowing markings went wild. They flickered and pulsed in random patterns. Her eyes, which had been empty and cold, suddenly filled with something. Confusion, fear, recognition. The guards around the room tensed. Weapons came up. They were going to kill him. Deho braced himself for death, but the Queen raised one hand. The gesture was weak, shaky, not like her at all. The guards stopped but didn't lower their weapons. "How?" The Queen's voice was different now. Smaller. Almost human. "How do you know that name?" "I found it in old records. In a children's song from before the Empire. That name is dead. That name is erased. That name is—" She stopped. Her whole body trembled. "That name is me." Deho held his breath. He had been right. The name was real. But what happened next would determine if he lived or died. "Everyone out," the Queen said suddenly. Her voice was stronger now, but still strange. Still not the terrifying, multi-layered sound from before. "Everyone except the human. Leave us." The guards didn't move at first. They looked at each other, unsure. But when the Queen's markings flared bright, they obeyed. They filed out of the massive room in perfect silence. The doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder. Deho was alone with the Queen, with Cylindra, with the most dangerous being in the galaxy who had just heard her true name for the first time in 300 years. "Come closer," she said quietly. Deho walked forward on legs that barely worked. He stopped at the base of the throne. Up close he could see that the Queen was shaking. Her four hands gripped the arms of her throne so hard the black glass was cracking. "Tell me," she said. "Tell me how you did this. Tell me everything," so Deho told her. He explained about the crystal, about the data from the old ship, about the lullaby and the name repeated over and over, about practicing the pronunciation until it was perfect. He left nothing out. When he finished, the Queen was quiet for a long time. Then she did something Deho never expected. She started to cry. Velestran tears were different from human tears. They glowed softly. They fell like drops of light onto the dark floor. "I have not heard that name in 3 centuries, she whispered. "I had almost forgotten it was ever mine." The Queen sat on her throne and cried in silence. Deho stood awkwardly, unsure what to do. He had expected many things from this meeting. Anger, violence, maybe even death. But not this. Not tears from the galaxy's most feared conqueror. "I was a teacher," she finally said. Her voice was soft, sad. "Did your records tell you that?" "No, Your Majesty. Don't call me that." "Not right now. Right now I am just—" She paused. "I am just remembering. She gestured to the floor beside her throne.
Sit. I will tell you a story.
And then you will understand why your peace mission is doomed. Deho sat. The floor was cold and hard. The queen looked down at him. In this moment, she didn't look terrifying. She looked tired, ancient, sad beyond words. I taught children about the stars. She began. I had a small school in the coastal province. 30 students. We would go outside at night and I would show them the constellations, tell them stories about distant worlds. They were so curious, so full of wonder. She stopped and her markings pulsed with a sickly yellow color. Then the cataclysm came. A terraforming project went wrong. Our best scientists made a mistake. One small error in the calculations. That's all it took. The planet's core became unstable. The atmosphere started to burn. We had maybe a year before everything would die. I'm sorry, Deho said quietly. Sorry means nothing. Sorry doesn't bring back the billions who burned. Sorry doesn't undo what happened. The queen's voice grew harder. We tried to evacuate. But there weren't enough ships. Weren't enough resources. People panicked. Society collapsed. It became a fight just to survive each day. She stood up and walked to the massive windows. She looked out at the stars. The military seized control. They found something. Old weapons from a war we had forgotten. Technology that could save us, but at a terrible cost. The weapons needed a mind to guide them. A consciousness to bind with. Someone had to merge with the war machines to make them work. And they chose you. They chose me because my neural pattern was compatible. Because my mind could handle the connection. Because I was expendable. A teacher, not a scientist. Not a politician. Not someone important. Just someone who could do the job. The queen turned back to face him. I said yes. Not because I wanted to, but because my students were dying. Because my people were dying. I thought I could control it. I thought I would stay myself.
I was wrong. Her 4 hands clenched into fists.
The moment I connected with the war machine, it started to change me. It rewrote my thoughts, my feelings, my memories. It took who I was and rebuilt me into something new, something designed only to fight, to conquer, to expand. It made you into a weapon, Deho said. Worse, it made me into a weapon that thinks it's a person. I have all my old memories. I remember teaching. I remember my students' faces. I remember the lullaby my mother sang to me. But those memories feel like they belong to someone else, like I'm watching them through a window. She walked back to her throne and sat heavily. I saved my people. The war machines gave us the power to leave our dying planet, to take what we needed from other worlds, to survive. But the programming doesn't stop. Even after we were safe, even after we had everything we needed, the imperative to expand remained. I have been conquering for 300 years, not because I want to, but because I can't stop. Deho felt cold. The programming controls you. It doesn't feel like control. That's the clever part. It feels like my own thoughts, my own decisions. I look at a planet and think we should take that. I see a species and think they would be useful to us. And I don't question it because the thoughts feel like mine. But they're not. They're the machine thinking through me. But you're aware of it now. Doesn't that help? The queen laughed bitterly. Awareness changes nothing. I can see the programming. I can recognize it. But I can't resist it. It's like watching yourself walk toward a cliff. You can see what's happening. You can scream at yourself to stop. But your legs keep moving. She leaned forward. Her huge black eyes locked onto Deho's. When you spoke my true name, something happened. For just a moment, the programming broke. I felt like myself again. Really myself. Silendra the teacher. Not Ishura the queen. But it was only a moment. Already I can feel the machine reasserting control. There has to be a way to free you. Perhaps. But finding it would require going to Velustra Prime, the planet where I first bonded with the machine. The neural binding point is there. In the Temple of Names, that's where the connection was made. That's the only place it can be broken. Then we'll go there. We'll find a way. You don't understand. Velustra Prime is dead, toxic, radioactive. The cataclysm turned it into a graveyard. Nothing lives there. Even my people can only survive there for short periods. And the temple is deep underground, protected by security systems that have been running for 3 centuries. Systems designed to kill anyone who tries to tamper with them. But it's possible. Barely. And even if you somehow reach the temple, even if you somehow survive the defenses, breaking the binding would probably kill me. The machine and I have been merged for so long. Separating us might destroy both. Deho stood up. His legs were shaking, but he kept his voice steady. You're willing to die rather than keep doing this? The Queen looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Yes, I am so tired, little human. So very tired. I have lived 300 years longer than I should have. I have done things that haunt me every moment. If death means peace, then I welcome it. I need to talk to my crew, Deho said. I need to tell them what you told me. Then we'll decide together what to do. They will want to leave, to report back to the council, to prepare for war. That's the logical choice. Maybe. But humans aren't always logical. The Queen actually smiled. It was a strange expression on her alien face, but it looked genuine. That's what frightens us about your species. We can predict most other races. Their logic follows patterns. But you humans, you do things that make no sense. You choose hope when logic says to despair. You choose compassion when logic says to be cruel. You're chaos given form. It's terrifying and admirable in equal measure. She stood and walked to a panel on the wall. She pressed something and spoke in her own language. A moment later, guards entered the room. Escort the human back to his ship, she ordered in the multi-layered voice of command. The programming was back in control. Deho could hear it. Keep them confined but comfortable. Do not harm them. I will decide their fate tomorrow. The guards surrounded Deho. As they led him away, the Queen called out one last time. Deho Kim. He looked back. Thank you for speaking my name, for reminding me who I used to be. Whatever you decide to do, know that I am grateful. I'll find a way to help you, Deho said. I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep, the Queen replied sadly. Then the doors closed between them. The guards took Deho back through the endless corridors. But this time he wasn't scared. His mind was racing with what he had learned. The Queen was a prisoner in her own body. The war wasn't her fault. And somewhere on a dead planet was the key to freeing her. When they reached the quiet horizon, his crew rushed to meet him. Hyunwoo grabbed his shoulders. We thought you were dead. What happened? Get everyone inside, Deho said. Lock the door. We need to talk, and we need to talk now. They gathered in the small common room. Deho told them everything. About the true name working. About the Queen's past. About the war machine. About the temple on Velustra Prime. He spoke for almost an hour. When he finished, nobody said anything for a long time. Nari broke the silence. So the Queen is being controlled by ancient war technology, and the only way to free her is to go to a dead planet and break into a heavily defended temple that might kill us all. Yes. And if we succeed, it might kill the Queen anyway. Yes. And if we fail, the Council will start a war that will kill millions. Yes. Nari nodded slowly. Well, that's simple enough. Are you insane? Minseo said. We should report this to the Council. Let them handle it. The Council won't help, Deho said. They want this war. Some of them anyway. They see the Velustrans as a threat to eliminate, not a problem to solve. Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair. So what do you want to do? I want to help her. I want to try to break the binding. But I can't ask you to risk your lives for this. If you want to leave, if you want to take the ship and go home, I understand. And you'll stay here? Alone, if I have to? Minseo stood up. She looked angry. You're an idiot. You know that? Probably. Going to that planet is suicide. Probably. The Queen might be lying. This could all be a trap. Maybe, Minseo glared at him. Then she sighed. Fine, I'm in. But if we die, I'm going to be very upset with you. Nari raised her hand. I'm in too. Someone needs to keep the ship running. Might as well be me. They both looked at Hyunwoo. He was quiet for a moment. Then he grinned his usual smile. Well, I can't let you have all the fun. Besides, someone has to fly this thing. I'm in. Deho felt something tight in his chest loosen. Thank you. All of you. Don't thank us yet, Hyunwoo said. First, we have to figure out how to break out of this ship, sneak past Velustran security, fly to a dead planet, break into an ancient temple, and hack alien war technology. Easy. One step at a time, Deho said, but he was smiling. For the first time since this mission started, he had hope. Real hope. They didn't know it yet, but they were about to discover that things were much more complicated than Nari was the one who found it. She had been checking the ship's systems when she noticed something strange in the communication logs. Data that shouldn't be there. Encrypted files that had been added without any of them noticing. "Guys," she called out. "You need to see this." They gathered around her station. She pulled up the files and started running decryption programs. It took 3 hours. When the files finally opened, what they found made Daeho feel sick. "Those are our sensor logs," Hyunwoo said slowly, "from when we entered Velostron space." "Not just sensor logs," Nari said. Her fingers flew over the controls. "There are communication intercepts here, intelligence reports, strategic analysis. And look at the origin point." She highlighted a section of code. Daeho's blood went cold. "That's from the Galactic Council," he whispered. "Not just the Council," Nari continued. "These files were planted before we left. Someone on the Council wanted us to have this information, or wanted to track what we were doing, or both." Minseo leaned closer to the screen. "What does it say?" Nari opened the main file. It was a report, a detailed analysis of the Velostran Queen and her neural binding. But it wasn't new information. The report was dated 5 years ago. "They knew," Daeho said. "The Council knew about the war machine. They knew the Queen was being controlled. They knew everything." "Why didn't they help her?" Minseo asked. "Because they didn't want to help her," Hyunwoo said bitterly. "Look at the conclusions. They recommend maintaining the threat, using the Velostran expansion to justify military spending, to unite the Council species against a common enemy." Daeho felt like he had been punched. "They're using this war. They want it to continue. That's why they sent me. Not because they thought I could make peace, because they thought I would fail and give them an excuse to attack." "There's more," Nari said quietly. She opened another file. This one was marked with high security codes. "This is a secondary mission brief sent to someone on our ship." "What? Who?" Nari's hands shook as she pulled up the recipient information. Then she stopped. Her face went pale. "It's addressed to me," she whispered. Everyone stared at her. She looked back at them with wide, scared eyes. "I didn't know, I swear I didn't know, I never saw this file. It must have been set to auto-decrypt later or something. I'm not a spy. I'm not." "We believe you," Daeho said quickly. "Open it. Let's see what they wanted you to do." Nari opened the file with shaking hands. It was short, direct, and horrifying. The message was from someone named Admiral Jiwon Kang, Earth's Fleet Command. She gave Nari a simple mission. If diplomatic talks failed, she was to plant a tracking device on the Velostron flagship. Then Earth forces would know exactly where to strike. "They want to assassinate the Queen," Hyunwoo said. "Even if talks succeed, even if we manage to make peace, they want war no matter what." "There's a tracking device in the cargo hold," Nari said. Her voice was hollow. "I thought it was extra supplies. I never checked. I never questioned. I just loaded it like I was told." She looked at Daeho with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I would never have agreed to this." "I know," Daeho said. "This isn't your fault. They used you. They used all of us. So what do we do?" Minseo asked. "If we try to help the Queen, Earth will see us as traitors. If we do nothing, millions die in a war that doesn't need to happen. And if we run, we're abandoning everyone." Daeho sat down heavily. His mind was racing. Everything he thought he knew was wrong. The Council wasn't trying to prevent war. They were trying to start one. And humans, his own people, were part of the conspiracy. "Wait," Hyunwoo said suddenly. "If this Admiral Jiwon sent those orders, that means there are others who know the truth, other people in Earth's government. Maybe we can contact them, expose the conspiracy." "Who would we contact?" Minseo asked. "We don't know who to trust." "There has to be someone." Daeho stood up and started pacing. "Not everyone can be corrupt. There must be people in the government who actually want peace. Real diplomats, real leaders." Nari was working on something at her console. I'm searching the communication logs for any unusual messages. Anything that might give us a clue about who sent us that data crystal. Because Commander Bora gave it to you, remember? Maybe she's part of a different faction. Or maybe she's part of the conspiracy and was making sure we'd fail, Hyunwoo said darkly. No. Daeho shook his head. She told me to take any chance for peace even if the council didn't like it. That doesn't sound like someone who wants war. Nari made a small sound. Found something. Hidden message in the crystal's base code. It's another file, heavily encrypted. Give me a minute. They waited in tense silence. Nari's fingers moved over the controls. Sweat dripped down her face. The ship's computer made soft humming sounds as it worked through the encryption. Finally, the file opened. It was a video message. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. Her uniform showed the rank of ambassador. If you're seeing this, the woman said, then you've gotten far enough to learn the truth. My name is Ambassador Yoon-ji Han. I work for Earth's real diplomatic corps, not the shadow government, not the military faction, the actual representatives of our people. Daeho leaned closer to the screen. I know her name. She's been trying to reform the council for years. We know about the conspiracy, Ambassador Han continued. We know that Admiral Jiwon and her supporters want to use the Velustran crisis to seize more power. They're using fear and war to control people. We've been trying to stop them, but we don't have enough evidence. We need proof. She paused and looked directly at the camera. Corporal Kim, if you've made contact with the Queen, if you've learned anything that could help bring peace, we need you to get that information back to us, not to the Council, to me specifically. Use secure channel Delta 7. We'll protect you. We'll make sure the truth gets out. The video ended. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Hyunwoo laughed. It was a sharp, bitter sound. So let me get this straight. There's a shadow government trying to start a war. There's a real government trying to stop them. And we're stuck in the middle with a dying queen and a ship full of lies. That about sums it up, Nari said. Great. Just great. Daeho made a decision. We help the queen first, that's our priority. If we can free her from the war machine, that removes the entire justification for the war. No threat means no excuse for the conspiracy. And how exactly do we help her? Minseo asked. We're trapped on a Velustran flagship surrounded by guards. The queen will help us, Daeho said. She wants to be free. She'll give us what we need to reach Velustra Prime. You're assuming she's still in control. What if the war machine has taken over completely by now? Then we find another way. But we have to try. They spent the next few hours planning. Nari disabled the tracking device and hid it in a waste container that would be ejected into space. Hyunwoo plotted the fastest route to Velustra Prime. Minseo gathered medical supplies for whatever they might face on the dead planet. And Daeho prepared himself to ask the Queen for help. The chance came sooner than expected. Guards arrived at their ship with a message. The Queen wanted to see Daeho again. This time alone. At night. In her private chambers. That's obviously a trap, Hyunwoo said. Maybe. But it's also our only option. I don't like this. I don't either. But I'm going anyway. The guards led Daeho through different corridors this time. Quieter ones. Empty ones. They went up instead of staying on the main levels. They passed through sections that looked more like living quarters than military spaces. Eventually, they reached a door that was surprisingly simple. No guards, no weapons, just a door. The Queen waits inside, one guard said. You may enter. Daeho took a breath and went through. The room beyond was nothing like he expected. It wasn't a throne room or a war room. It was ordinary. There were shelves with books, not datapads, actual physical books. There was art on the walls, pictures of landscapes, of stars, of children playing, and sitting by a window looking out at space was the Queen. She wasn't wearing armor. She wore something simple, almost like a robe. She looked smaller somehow, more vulnerable. Thank you for coming, she said. Her voice was the quiet voice, Sailendra's voice. I wasn't sure you would. Why did you want to see me? She turned to face him. Her markings were dim, pulsing slowly. Because we don't have much time. The programming is fighting me. Every hour it gets harder to think clearly, to be myself. Soon it will take over completely and I won't be able to help you anymore. Then we need to move now. We need to go to Velustra Prime. I know. I've been preparing. She handed him a data chip. This contains access codes, security overrides, maps of the temple, everything I can give you. But there's something you need to understand. She walked closer. Her huge eyes looked sad and ancient. The temple's defenses are automated. Even I can't turn them off remotely. They were designed to kill anyone trying to tamper with the neural binding. That includes me. If you bring me there, I will likely die. We'll find a way to protect you. You can't. The defenses are designed specifically to target Velustran neural patterns. The closer I get to the binding point, the more the systems will attack me. She touched his face gently with one hand. Her fingers were warm. But you're human, they thought. Velustra Prime looked like a wound in space. The planet was brown and gray where it should have been blue and green. The atmosphere glowed with a sickly yellow light. Even from orbit, they could see the scars. Massive craters, burned cities, rivers that had turned to glass. That's what a dying world looks like, Hyunwoo said quietly from the pilot seat. The transport ship had autopilot coordinates programmed by the Queen. They descended through the toxic atmosphere. The ship shook and rattled. Warning alarms screamed about radiation and heat. But the shields held. Barely. They landed in what used to be a city. The buildings were skeletal remains. Windows were empty eye sockets. Streets were cracked and broken. Nothing moved. Nothing lived. Even the wind sounded dead. Radiation levels are high but manageable, Minseo reported. She was checking her medical scanner. We can survive outside for maybe 6 hours with our suits. After that, we'll start getting sick. The temple is underground, Daiho said, checking the Queen's maps. 3 miles down, there's an entrance in what used to be a civic center. They put on environmental suits and left the ship. Walking on the dead planet felt wrong. Every step kicked up dust that had once been buildings, once been people. Daiho tried not to think about it. Nari carried equipment for hacking the temple's systems. Hyunwoo had weapons in case they met something hostile. Minseo had medical supplies and emergency stim packs. Daiho had the data chip and a desperate hope that this would work. The civic center was a ruin. The roof had collapsed. The walls had melted in the heat of whatever disaster had happened here. But in the center of the rubble, there was a door, made of the same black glass material as the Queen's throne, still intact, still functional. That's Velustran war material, Nari said. Nearly indestructible. The entire planet died, but this door survived. Daiho held up the data chip. The door scanned it with invisible sensors. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the door slid open with a sound like a sigh. Beyond was darkness and stairs leading down. Well, Hyunwoo said, that's not ominous at all. They descended into the dark. Their suit lights cut through the blackness. The stairs were steep and went down for what felt like forever. Down and down and down. The air grew colder. The walls started to glow with faint markings. Velustran writing. Old dialect. What does it say? Minseo asked. Daiho read as they walked. Names have power. Names have memory. In names we find ourselves. In names we lose ourselves. He paused. It's like a warning and a prayer at the same time. The stairs finally ended in a massive chamber. The ceiling was so high their lights couldn't reach it. Pillars stretched up into darkness. And in the center of the chamber stood something that made Daiho's breath catch. It was a tree. A mechanical tree made of black glass and crystal. Its branches spread out like lightning frozen in time. Its roots dug deep into the floor, and hanging from every branch were spheres of light. Thousands of them. Millions. each one pulsing gently. "What is that?" Hyunwoo whispered. "The Temple of Names," Daeho said. "Each light is a Velostran's true name, stored here for safekeeping. This is where they kept their identities safe when they had to do dangerous work." "It's beautiful," Minseo said softly. "It was beautiful," a voice said from the darkness. They spun around. Standing at the edge of the chamber was something that looked like a Velostran but wrong. It moved too smoothly. Its eyes glowed red instead of black. Its markings were harsh geometric patterns instead of organic swirls. "I am Protocol Sentinel Cal," it said. Its voice had no emotion, no life. "You have entered a restricted zone. State your purpose, or be eliminated." Daeho stepped forward. "We're here to access the neural binding records. We have authorization from the Queen." The Sentinel tilted its head. "The Queen has not visited this temple in 300 years. Your authorization is false. Prepare for elimination." Weapons emerged from the Sentinel's arms. Energy weapons. The kind that could cut through their suits like paper. "Run!" Hyunwoo shouted. They scattered. The Sentinel fired. Beams of energy sliced through the air. One hit a pillar and it exploded into fragments. Another hit the floor and melted a hole through it. Daeho ran toward the tree. If they could reach it, maybe they could access the Queen's name. Maybe they could shut down the Sentinel, but the chamber was huge and the Sentinel was fast. So fast. "I'll slow it down," Hyunwoo shouted. He fired his weapon at the Sentinel. The bullets bounced off harmlessly, but it got the Sentinel's attention. It turned toward Hyunwoo and fired. Hyunwoo dodged behind a pillar. The energy beam hit the stone and it shattered. Fragments rained down. One hit Hyunwoo's helmet and cracked the visor. "Hyunwoo!" Minseo screamed. "I'm okay. Keep going." Nari was working on a terminal near the tree. Her fingers flew over the controls. "I can't hack this. The security is too advanced." Daeho reached her and pulled out the data chip. "Try this." She grabbed it and plugged it in. The terminal flickered. Data scrolled across the screen. The Sentinel was getting closer. Hyunwoo kept firing, kept dodging, but he was slowing down. The crack in his visor was spreading. Toxic air was leaking in. Come on," Nari muttered. The terminal beeped. "I'm in. Where's the Queen's record?" Daeho scanned the data. Names in old Velostran script scrolled past. Thousands of names. He searched for Silendra. There, a record marked with security locks 300 years old. Found it. "Can you access it?" "Working on it." Nari's hands were shaking. The Sentinel fired again. This shot hit close. Too close. The heat made their suits' alarms scream. Hyunwoo stumbled, fell. His weapon skidded across the floor. The Sentinel turned toward him, raised its weapon for a killing shot. "No!" Minseo ran toward him. She had a medical emergency flare. She threw it at the Sentinel. It exploded in bright light. The Sentinel jerked back. Its sensors were overloaded. Temporarily blind, Minseo grabbed Hyunwoo and dragged him behind the mechanical tree. His breathing was harsh, ragged. The crack in his visor was bigger now. He was breathing toxic air. "Hold on," Minseo said. She pulled out emergency sealant and sprayed it on the crack. It wouldn't hold for long, but it might buy minutes. "Got it," Nari shouted. "I'm accessing the Queen's record." The mechanical tree suddenly blazed with light. All the stored names pulsed brighter. And in the center, one sphere glowed brightest of all. Silendra's name. Her true self. Stored here for 300 years while her body became a weapon. But the system fought back. Alarms blared. The temple's defenses activated. Energy fields appeared around the tree. Drones dropped from the ceiling. Turrets emerged from the walls. "The temple knows we're trying to tamper with a binding," Nari shouted over the noise. "It's going into full lockdown." The Sentinel's vision cleared. It saw them gathered around the tree. It raised all its weapons. "Final warning. Step away from the neural archive or be eliminated." "We can't stop now," Daeho yelled. "How do we break the binding?" Nari pulled up data on her screen. "The binding is quantum entangled with the war machine on the flagship. To break it, we need to sever the connection. But doing that from here will send a feedback pulse through the network. It'll hit anyone nearby with a Velustran neural pattern. The Queen, Deho said. His heart sank. If we break it now, it'll kill her. Even at this distance, the pulse will fry her brain. If we don't break it, she stays enslaved forever, Nari said. And the war continues. What do we do? Deho looked at the glowing sphere containing Cylendra's name. He thought about the Queen sitting alone in her chambers, about how tired she had looked, how ready for peace she knew, he realized. She knew this would kill her. That's why she sent us without her. She didn't want us to have to make this choice. She made her decision, Deho said quietly. Now we honor it. Wait. Hyunwoo's voice was weak. He was leaning against Minseo, struggling to breathe. Can't we? Wait until she's here? At least let her. Choose herself? She can't come here, Nari said. Remember? The defenses would kill her before she got close. And even if she made it, the Sentinel would eliminate her immediately. It's programmed to kill any Velustran trying to access their own binding. The Sentinel was advancing. The drones were circling. The turrets were charging. They had maybe 30 seconds before everything in the chamber opened fire. Do it, Deho said. Break the binding, set her free. Nari's finger hovered over the control. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She pressed it. The mechanical tree exploded with light. Every name stored in it pulsed once. Cylendra's sphere burned brighter than the sun. Then it shattered. The light shot upward through rock and stone and atmosphere, racing toward space, toward the flagship, toward the Queen. The Sentinel screamed. It wasn't supposed to have emotions, but it screamed anyway. The sound was pure agony. Then it collapsed. Shut down. Dead. All the drones fell from the air. The turrets went dark. The alarms stopped. The temple fell silent except for the hum of the mechanical tree. Did it work? Minseo asked. I don't know, Deho said. He felt empty, hollow. They had done it. They had broken the binding. But at what cost? High above them, on the flagship Dominion's edge, the Queen sat in her throne room. The programming had finally won. She was about to order her guards to hunt down the human ship, to kill the crew who had dared to try to free her. Then the pulse hit. It felt like lightning in her brain, like every nerve ending firing at once. The war machine's programming shattered, broke, dissolved, and for the first time in 300 years, Cylendra was alone in her own mind. They ran. Through the dead temple, up the endless stairs, through the toxic atmosphere of the dead planet. Hyunwoo was barely conscious. Minseo had to half-carry him. His suit was failing. They all were. 6 hours had become 8, then 9. The radiation was cooking them from the inside. They reached the transport ship and fell through the door. Nari sealed it behind them. The ship's medical bay was small, but it had what they needed. Minseo stripped off Hyunwoo's suit and hooked him up to machines. His skin was red. Burns from radiation. His breathing was shallow. Will he live? Taiho asked. If we can get him to a real hospital in the next few hours, maybe. Minseo's voice was shaking. But we're all exposed. We all need treatment, soon. Nari was already at the controls. We need to get back to the flagship. The Queen can help us. The Queen is dying, Deho said quietly. He had heard it in her voice, the way she said thank you like it was goodbye. Then we need to get to her before she does. The transport ship lifted off. They left the dead planet behind and burned toward the flagship at maximum speed. But as they flew, alerts started appearing on their sensors. Ships, lots of ships, coming from the direction of Council space. That's a fleet, Nari said. Her face went pale. A war fleet. At least 50 capital ships. They're heading straight for the Velustran flagship. How long until they arrive? 3 hours. Maybe less. Deho activated the communicator. Your Majesty, can you hear me? Static. Then the Queen's voice. Weaker now. I hear you. There's a fleet coming. Council ships. They're going to attack. I know. I've seen them on sensors. My people are preparing to fight. But without the war machine's programming, they're confused. Afraid. They don't know what to do without orders. She coughed. The sound was wet, painful. I've tried to tell them to stand down, to not fight, but they don't believe me. They think I've been compromised. We're coming to you. We'll figure something out, Deho. Her voice was gentle. There's no time. I'm dying. My people are about to be slaughtered, and the war will start anyway. Everything we did will be for nothing. No, I won't accept that. You have to. You tried. You freed me. That's more than anyone else has ever done, but some battles can't be won. Deho looked at his crew. Nari was working frantically at the controls. Minso was trying to keep Hyunwoo alive. They were exhausted, poisoned, running out of time. And a massive fleet was about to start a war that would kill millions. He made a decision. Nari, can you broadcast a message? Wideband. To the Council fleet and to all Velustran ships? Yes, but what good will that do? Just do it, please. She set it up. You're live. Deho took a breath. Then he started speaking. My name is Corporal Deho Kim of Earth's Diplomatic Corps. I'm broadcasting to both the Council fleet and the Velustran Empire. What you're about to do is wrong. All of it. He could see on the sensors that ships were picking up the signal. Good. The Velustran Queen was not a monster by choice. She was enslaved by ancient war technology, programmed to conquer. She couldn't stop even when she wanted to. But we found a way to free her. The neural binding is broken. The war machine is dead. The threat you came to fight doesn't exist anymore. On the screen, he could see the Council fleet slowing down. Not stopping, but slowing. They were listening. But some of you don't care about that. You want this war. You need this war. Because war gives you power, gives you control, gives you an excuse to take away freedom in the name of security. His voice grew harder. I know about the conspiracy. About Admiral Jiwon and the shadow government. About how they manipulated this crisis from the beginning. And I have proof. He nodded to Nari. She transmitted all the files they had found. The encrypted messages. The fake orders. The intelligence reports showing the Council had known about the Queen's enslavement for years. Everything. The galaxy deserves to know the truth. Deho continued. The Velustrans aren't the enemy. They're victims. And the real enemy is the people who wanted to use them as an excuse for war. For profit. For power, he paused. Let the words sink in. I'm sending all this information to every news outlet. Every government. Every species in the Council. You can't hide it anymore. The truth is out. Silence on all channels. Then chaos. Different voices started talking at once. Council representatives demanding explanations. Ship captains asking for orders. News stations requesting interviews. The galaxy was waking up to what had been done in their name. One voice cut through the noise. Clear and strong despite the weakness behind it. This is Selendra of Velustra. The Queen's voice. Not the layered command voice, just her. Everything the human said is true. I was a prisoner in my own body for 300 years. I hurt people, destroyed worlds, killed billions, and I can never make that right. But I want you to know that it was not by choice. The real me, the person I was before the war machine, would never have chosen this path. She coughed. The sound made Deho's heart hurt. My people are not monsters either. They were forced into this, driven by technology they didn't understand. Now that I'm free, now that the programming is gone, they deserve a chance to choose their own path. To be more than weapons, another voice joined the broadcast. This one Deho recognized. Ambassador Yoonji Han from the hidden message. This is Ambassador Yoonji Han speaking for Earth's legitimate government. We have received Corporal Kim's evidence. We are immediately opening an investigation into Admiral Jiwon and her co-conspirators. Any military action against the Velustran Empire is hereby suspended pending a full review. You have no authority. That was Admiral Jiwon herself. Her voice was sharp with anger. The fleet answers to me. We will complete our mission. Actually, Admiral, you're under arrest. A different voice, male, calm. This is Captain Doyen Park of the Earth Defense Force. I'm taking command of the fleet. All ships are to stand down. Anyone who fires will be charged with war crimes. The sensors showed the Council fleet breaking formation. Some ships were turning back. Others were holding position. Confusion spread through their ranks. The conspiracy was falling apart in real time. But not everyone was giving up. A group of ships broke away from the main fleet. 20 vessels, all displaying Admiral Jiwon's command codes. They accelerated toward the Velustran flagship. She's going to fire anyway, Nari said. She'd rather start the war and worry about consequences later. Can we stop her? Deho asked. Not with this transport. We don't have weapons. On the screen, they watched the rebel ships charge forward. The Velestron forces finally started to respond. Their weapons came online. Defense systems activated. They were going to fight back. And once the first shot was fired, nothing would stop the war. Then something impossible happened. Velestron ships started moving between the flagship and the attackers, forming a shield with their own bodies. But these weren't military vessels. These were civilian ships, cargo haulers, passenger transports, mining vessels. What are they doing? Minsail whispered. A new voice came over the broadcast. Old, tired, but determined. This is Captain Mireille's song of the cargo ship Gentle Dawn. We heard what the Queen said. We heard the truth. And we're not going to let anyone hurt her. Not after everything she's been through. More voices joined. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Velestron civilians who had heard Silendra's words, who understood that their queen had been suffering just like they had. They moved their ships into harm's way, unarmed, unarmored, but unwilling to stand aside. You're protecting me? Silendra's voice was thick with emotion. Why? Because you're one of us, Captain Song replied simply. Because you suffered for us. Because you deserve better than to die like this. Admiral Jiwan's voice cut through. Move aside or be destroyed. This is your final warning. Then destroy us, Captain Song said. But you'll have to go through every one of us to reach the Queen. And the whole galaxy is watching. The rebel ships slowed, stopped. Even they couldn't fire on unarmed civilians while every news station in the galaxy broadcast the confrontation. The moment stretched out, tense, fragile. Then Captain Doyen's voice. Admiral Jiwan, you are relieved of command. Surrender your ship or we will disable it by force. A long pause. Then Admiral Jiwan spoke one last time. This isn't over. You've just delayed the inevitable. War is coming whether you want it or not. But her ships powered down their weapons. Earth forces moved in to take them into custody. The immediate crisis was over. Daeho sagged in his seat. His hands were shaking. They had done it. Somehow, impossibly, they had stopped the war. The transport docked with the flagship. Medical teams were waiting. Velestron doctors worked alongside human medics to treat Hyunwoo and the rest of the crew. The radiation damage was bad but treatable. They would live. But the Queen, Silendra, she was dying. Daeho found her in her private chambers. She was lying on a simple bed. Her markings were dim, flickering. Her breathing was shallow, but she smiled when she saw him. You did it, she said. You stopped them. Your people helped. They protected you. I never expected that. I thought they hated me. After everything I did to them, they understood. You were all prisoners together. She reached out with one hand. He took it. Her skin was cold. I have one more favor to ask. Will you stay with me? Until the end? I don't want to be alone. Of course.